HTB family, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball. Hope you guys are well. Thanks again for tuning in. This is the New Zealand Warriors end of season review, where I give you guys, my thoughts on all things New Zealand Warriors pertaining to this year. And I suppose I also dive in to a little bit of next year as well. But before I carry that on, without further ado, DJ, hit that intro. Alright guys, here it is. It's upon us right now. New Zealand Warriors losing the game yesterday against the Titans, 26 points to 27 in very Warrior-like fashion, leaving us fans with a hole in our heart, a break in our heart, but more importantly, with a feeling of, here we go again. Right? Now, before I get into the stats and all that stuff, and again, this is all purely opinion-based, I just want to say sorry first and foremost for my rant yesterday. I suppose I did sort of kick it into overdrive, but I guess I came from a passionate place, and I understand it is PG, and it is PG. But I probably should have controlled my temperament just a little bit there. But look, in saying that, it is what it is. It's the price you pay for the reaction, and it's the price you pay for love, right? As an old cliche goes. Now, we all know that straight away after the game, a few players got awarded some medals, all right? Ewan Aiken got the Simon Mannering award, which again, congrats. Clubman award went to R4 as well as Ben Murdoch Masila. Rookie was Viliami Vailea. Reece Walsh got the People's Award, and Toi Harris, I'm not too sure what he got there, but he got awarded. Now, first and foremost, congrats to those guys there. But I just want to say as well, I'm actually surprised that Josh Curran didn't get an award or a mention. I thought he was actually robbed of something there. His name was on something for a guy who, in my opinion anyway, rocks up regularly and gives his all, hard in the sleeve stuff. I'm very, very surprised. But anyway, I digress. It is what it is. You just leave it at that. And I also just want to say as well a big thank you tip of the hat, if you will, to the Warriors who were with us this year. Those who have come, gone as well, right? So Matt Lodge, Ash Taylor, Cody Nikorima, Ewan Aiken, Elias Katoa, Reece Walsh, Dejan Asi, I think will be the case as well. Shana Harris Tavita, I think that's about it. But again, goodbye, and I guess thank you to those players, such as the circle of rugby league, and particularly being a Warriors fan, right? But anyway, here we go. So the Warriors finished 15th overall. That is our lowest ever ranking in our history since 95, since our inception. Warriors had 6 wins as well as 18 losses. Our plus minus was minus 292. Our points for was 408. And our points against was 700 points. And that was the worst defensive record of the NRL season this year. And now definitely our worst of all time. Our completion rate was at 77%. Tackle efficiency was at 87.7%. The average score we got per game was 17 points, and the average score against us was 29 points. And another quick little fact there as well for you guys. After round 6, we were never ever in the 8. So I think between rounds 3 and 5, there was that little bit here and there. But then after round 6, that was it. That was all she wrote. And we never ever, not even squeaked into the 8. So that's the way it went for us in terms of rankings. Now, our wins were against the Cowboys, the Broncos, Tigers twice, Bulldogs, as well as Raiders. Obviously, if you look at it from the season point now, that's 2 wins against 2 top 8 sides. Where's the rest? Well, against sides that were struggling. Thank goodness we played the Tigers twice, because I think any other team we play twice, we lose to them, we'll probably, probably still 15th, to be fair, because of the Tigers. But hey, who knows? Probably could have been 16th. Now, as you guys know as well, I need to point it out, in the beginning of the season, I did make a bet on myself that if the Warriors got the wooden spoon, I would be deleting this channel. Why? Because whatever, it is what it is. You could blame it on the time thing at the time, feeling a bit, just a bit blasé, I suppose. But anyway, the Warriors did manage to scrape past that barrel. Ironically, against the Tigers, who we beat twice, is the reason why we're not last place. Now that's about it, right? The summation, in my opinion, anyway, regarding the stats, that is all time bad. Warriors. Yesterday I threw a few pretty heavy words, and I'll get there in the conclusion. Don't you worry. But it's despicable. There's no other way to really turn it. Really, you can say, oh well, we're in New Zealand, when back in New, or you can say, well, Australia, whatever. But before the season started, it was basically we should be used to this. We should be used to it being Australia. So now it's a-okay, right? So what's the excuses now, right? You can't really say it's too much of personnel because other teams have had to deal with the same thing probably in different concentration levels, to be fair, but still, nonetheless, right? Defensively, like defense is a skill, but I think at the same time it's also a bit of heart, right? I think defense, mine, in most facets of sport, I think the defensive side of the game comes to heart. I think it does mainly, right? Because obviously, there's a bit of skill, obviously the tackling aspect of it, but in terms of the actual, trying to push back, in terms of the actual getting there with these, trying to prevent a line break, trying to prevent a tackle break, namely it comes down to heart, right? The pressure to try and impact the play, to turn things around comes to heart, and the 700 points conceded all up is all you need to know. We were the worst team defensively. If you literally count points per point, we were the worst team defensively, and the stat there showed it. I don't know who the heck. Well, I do know who's coaching us. Whoever it is, can you tell us why the players are playing like this? Look, there's so many questions, but I'll get to that in the conclusion. Obviously, the points scored, average point 17 points, nothing to really rattle home about. Tackle efficiency wasn't bad, 87.7 when we did manage to tackle. But in saying that, if you think about that as a whole, it's not great, right? It's not great, really. And I suppose that the thing about the Warriors too was, I just think at times the stats as well showed that there were individual efforts, I think, as opposed to real teamly effort, right? Like a whole team combination. All right. Anyway, that is the stats there. I'm going to leave it at that. So I'm going to go straight to the conclusion. I think this will be the meat pie of it all. First and foremost, as I thank those players, I still want to say that the season itself has been an absolute unforgivable season. To be fair with you guys, not only do we have a CEO, and again, respectfully, who is trying to do their job, but at times a CEO who seems to be trying to, I don't know, I wouldn't say hide things necessarily, but perhaps just not look at it at face value and call it for what it is, right? Many a times we have this whole, the whole terminology, I should say, is bravado, right? Just thrown at our faces. We will get there. We will get there. That's where we want to be. We'll aim there. And then many a time we don't get there. And many a time the same response is we will. We will. We're building a culture. You know what I mean? It's almost reminiscent of the three pigs, right? In the sense that you had the pig who built his house with straw, right? Can you imagine building a house in straw and trying to convince someone that it's brick, that it's stronger than brick? It feels like, to me, that's where the club is at, right? We're built on straw. The foundation of the club is built on straws, right? Straws and wood, nothing of any real substance and strength. And we're trying to sell that at face value to anyone saying that it's made of titanium steel. It's not, right? This club here is very movable, very shakeable. And as we can see, we're a club that, if we're a successful club, right, this is what I drew. This is my conclusion. If we were a genuine successful club, we wouldn't have so many turnovers in terms of player rotations, in terms of player recruitment. All right, and the reason why I say that is we have some players who are sticking around, right, thankfully, the likes of Lussick, Curran, and Co, Egan, right? But then you have some players as well who are leaving, as I mentioned them beforehand, the likes of Walsh, Aitken, Gator, various reasons, but still, I can't believe Gator couldn't, anyway, get what I mean? I still, there's just something here at this club where, if we were a successful club, we wouldn't have this problem, but we do, right? And we continue to, finishing off at 15th place. Who wants to play in a club that's, unless this club here ain't giving you money, right? Why would you stay? Why would you stay? To love the fans? No, come on. We even have some fans, and I'll be honest with you, the fans don't owe the Warriors anything. You don't. All right, that's the reality. And I understand that as I say this, I think of some people I know of the past who have left the Warriors, being fan of the Warriors. It's to be honest with you, the Warriors are like a catalog, right? You got the Storm as a catalog or category. You got the Panthers as a category, the Warriors as a category, the Tigers, so on and so forth. All the other, you know what I mean? Like much like your favorite music, your favorite food, you're allowed to change and swap. You can. I mean, obviously the basic foundations of being a fan is you don't swap, especially in the sporting context. I get it, but if you do, oh well, so be it. The sport, you don't owe the sports team anything. What have they done? Especially a team like the Warriors, and I say this carefully, but the reality is there are fans who are not fans anymore. You need to accept it. Following this team here is becoming almost like a chore, if anything, right? And I'll tell you what, as this is still the conclusion, the only reason why I'm going to be a member next year is honestly because of some players that I actually really appreciate. Some players who I know that are actually putting their body in the line for the likes of myself and you. That's it. This club here doesn't draw me. What about this club here that there's nothing? All right, we couldn't even win our final game at home. You have players who are reflecting, self-reflection, and just saying they're not good enough, yet saying they still want to play. I'm not going to go down to that rabbit hole, but do all that as you will, right? The reality is that as we head into next year, as I really drawn to the end of this, it's been disappointing. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been disappointing. This has been the worst season I've actually been part of. And like I posted on Instagram, it's the first time ever where I've actually been happy the Warriors are done for the year. And I hate that. I genuinely do. But what do you do with a club that really pushes you to these extremes? And yeah, I get it. Oh, well, it's just a sport. You'll get it. It's not, though. It's not, though. The Warriors have been part of who I am since I was a kid. All right? I'm 29 years old. I'm still young, sort of. And the Warriors have been part of me since I was like 4 years old, 5 years old. You know what I mean? I looked up to the guys like Henry Fa'afili. You know what I mean? Your champions. I grew up in that. You know what I mean? As a little kid, 10-year-old, 8-year-old. You know what I mean? Your Tooks, Stacey Jones, right? Your Guttas, your Sean Johnsons, Mannerings. I grew up around that. I knew that. Ali Lawati. I knew that. All right, but this ain't the club I knew. This club here, much like the Warriors now, they're changing. They're going in their own little fancy directions, different logos. Stop changing the logo. Stop changing the color. How about we change the culture? Start changing the results. All right, as we peer into next year, through that keyhole, looking into next year, I'll be honest with you guys. The conclusion is you're not gonna like it. I don't believe much at all is gonna change next year. Maybe a win or two. I don't know. Maybe we go up a spot or two. 17 teams next year, right? More pressure, right? And I just don't think we're up there. We don't. The recruits coming into next year, the likes of Walker, Metcalf, Tamade Martin, Jonathan Cole Cookstad. Yeah, sure, but do they really ring a bell in terms of excitement? Do they really ring a bell? And again, no, not disrespectful, but then you got the halves pairing there. Is that really going to change? Not really. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, as I really draw to my final conclusion here with the Warriors, I just want to say that this season has been truthfully disappointing. It has been absolutely, it's felt like a marathon, right? A marathon just to survive this year with this team. And I'll tell you what, I meant it when I said it yesterday. I'm actually happy I follow other teams in other sports. Because I'll tell you what, if I just followed the Warriors only, I wouldn't be following sport at all. I wouldn't. Why would I waste my time doing it? If you're a person who follows just the Warriors in another sport, I strongly recommend you open your eyes and look to other sports as well to ease the pain, the frustration, the anger. That's it. I mean, there's not much to say about the season, Back to the drawing board. Back to more false promises next year. You see, with me, I love the club. I love the players that play there, and I love everything this club stands for in terms of, not necessarily the results and stuff, but in terms of being from New Zealand, in terms of, that warrior identity, so to speak. But I absolutely hate everything else about it, particularly results, And as a fan, I feel that it's my right to actually be able to talk about how I feel, as opposed to just beating around the bush. Because the more we beat around the bush, the more results the more these results just keep being the same. And to be fair with you guys, anyone who's optimistic heading to next year, I want a piece of whatever it is you're taking. because I really want to be there, but I don't see it. And as I really draw to conclusion, I'll be honest with you. This year, not only was this year unforgivable, it's forgettable, but it shows you where we're heading. If you really want to make the 8 next year, good on you. And I think that's it. And I'm done. That's it. Reece Walsh gone. Right? Wow. I really loved him. And I was really hoping for some big things from him. But that's Broncos now, right? Anyways, the Warriors, we look on to next year. And I suppose with that being said, like everything to do with the Warriors, there's that saying, there's always hope. And I suppose as I rant away like a fool, like a broken record, I look at you guys straight in the eyes and I say, well, there's always hope next year, right? I'll leave it at that. Unforgivable season though, nonetheless. But there's always hope, and when there's hope, there is life. And with that being said, up the wires. Bless you all.